So when you have the discussion that everybody has, that's like, you guys are AFABs, and we're talking about if you were AMABs, like, what would your dick be like? Would you have a big dick? We were just having this conversation. That's why it's fresh in my mind. When you have that conversation, do you treat it as like a personality test? Because you were like, what do you mean? I have BDE. Of course I'd have a big dick. Or do you treat it as more of like a biological assessment of someone?
Well, to me, I think it's a bit more biological. Like, I think maybe it is true that I have BDE, but my cock itself would be average. I've had this discussion with my other trans guy friend who, I think we both agree we'd be on the smaller to average side. What about you, our guest Olivia?
Because we all kind of agreed immediately that Lex would have regular old dick, but that Olivia would be packing. And biologically speaking, I don't know that I can justify that. However, I don't know. I can't. I'm having a difficult time determining when you're looking at an AFAB person and trying to decide whether they would be hung or not, whether it's more of a personality test or a biological test.
I feel like my answer is I would either have a chode or I'd be packing. There's no in between.
But I feel like you'd be packing. Like, I'm so confident that you'd be packing. Like, I'm sure.
I feel like if we were speaking just purely I think this is more of a personality thing, because if we were talking biologically, it'd get kind of weird, because then we'd get into our genetics, like our father's packing, or like,
right.
Maybe there's
I'm guessing you don't know that.
I think I have an idea.
Based on...
I'm wondering if I want
more
even...
based on personality, though.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know what to say here.
That's interesting. I mean, if it is, at the end of the day, if it is a personality test, I feel like you'd have to have a big dick. You're the BDE guy.
But you said I don't.
Because you're little. Like, you're small. Like, your features are small. You're quite small. You're quite, in a way that's adorable, you're quite meek in stature. And I just feel like if you all of a sudden were AMAB, that would associate to you having just a regular old dick.
What about those hung twinks, though?
The hung twinks are like 6'2" and like 120 pounds. Like, they're meek in stature, but they're meek in stature in a different way.
Well, I feel like this could be kind of analogous to like boob size in your family. Like, how come my mom and my sister both have larger breasts and I got the small boobs?
Maybe that means you'd get the big dick.
I feel like if we're going off of biology, I might be like girthy. It's going with the beefy allegations, but personality wise, I think I would have a big dick because I have a big ego sometimes.
So if I pointed out to you, let's say, I don't know, Emma Stone, and said, do you think Emma Stone would have a big dick? Are you looking at the curvature of her figure, the size of her breasts, her genetics? Or are you thinking, I've seen her in Easy A, that bitch would be hung?
Yeah, it's vibes based, in my opinion.
I have to disagree here. I think she would be packing 5 inches, like a solid medium.
Yeah, I don't think she'd be large.
But based on...
But what is that based on?
Her figure, her, body type.
Fascinating. I think going forward, when these discussions are had, that's something that needs to be clarified. I don't think we're communicating properly as a society.
So, how big would your breasts be if you were AFAB?
I think pretty big.
Yeah.
whether you're basing it on genetics or personality. I mean, I think my current titties are big by doll standards. Broadly speaking, they're not like massive or anything, but and I chalk that up to my mother's genetics. My mother has big titties, so I bet I would too.
I think you'd have double D's.
I think I also have big titty personality. So I feel like regardless of what criteria you're using, I think I would have big ass titties.
But do I have a big titty personality, or do I just have big titties?
Yeah, I think you're one. I think you got the genetics, but you don't have the personality. It's why clarity in front of the discussion is important. Agreed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Brain Frot. Episode 8.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 8. I'm Lavender,
I'm Lex.
and for the first time ever, special guest
I'm Liv.
Olivia. Liv is here. I'm finally outnumbered. This is a trans mask podcast now. This is a non-binary podcast now.
We're taking over.
The they thems have me cornered. It's gonna change the whole tenor, the whole demeanor of all of this. Here I thought this was the doll cast, and
Now we have to do a pronoun circle.
can we skip the pronoun circle, you small beans?
They, them.
Maybe I can pronoun by bean type.
What does that mean?
Explain pronoun by bean type, please. Like garbanzo?
Because you called us small beans. I don't feel like a small bean. So whatever bean is the largest bean, the beefiest bean of them all.
Small bean is just something that millennials say that is filthy, putrid, disgusting. And Lex really doesn't like it when I refer to trans masks as small beans. Justifiably.
But little guy is okay.
I think other trans masks would have a problem with little guy, but you seem pretty content with little guy.
It's just true.
I agree.
I think little guy is a personality, not a body.
I agree with you. So is small bean. I mean, bitches could be like 6'3" and hooping. If they're millennials, they're like, I'm such a small bean. Like, oh, adulting is so hard. I love making fun of millennials.
Rightfully so.
What I'm saying. So, a lot of what we talk about on this show, Lex and I would describe as ultra contemporary, in the sense that it's reflective of our experiences as transgender people as we literally walk the earth and do these things. But I think it's time to throw it back, because I don't know, you're in a podcast with a bunch of trans people on it, and you'll get young trans people, new trans people, eggs who come towards you. And not that I think we're the type of people who should provide guidance, but we can at least tell our stories. And so I think this episode we're going to talk about, what I was kind of bringing up was like a fascination with the difference between queer acknowledgement and queer engagement. Because for me, realizing that I was a queer person and a trans person in particular, it's a very different part of my life than when I started doing some real T-word shit. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of people, because it's a process. Like, you don't wake up one day and you're like, my gender's not what I thought it was, and the next day you're out at the function like
Snorting ketamine.
Yeah. It's a process. So I don't know. I guess today we'll talk about some of the animated women who helped us get through that process in you guys' case, or just some of the signifiers, some of the tent poles, the things that were like queer awakening, trans awakening. Both. I mean, for me, those two things happened at the same time, but I'm sure that's not, commonplace. How's that sound, gang?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'll lead. Since I can't stop yapping anyway. Oh God, I guess I feel like I'm kind of the rare person. Commonplace, especially for dolls, is like something's wrong. I think I'm bisexual. and And then most dolls, average doll is like, something's wrong. I think I'm bisexual. And you're like something about it's like, damn, I kind of only like twinks. What's up with that? Like, I love twinks. I go on 4chan and talk about how bad I want to fuck twinks. I'm not gay though. Transgender, like the pipeline between that to being a trans woman, months, years, sometimes. But I was very different to my experience. Somebody told me I was trans. Is that weird? I know that's like how eggs are cracked.
No, people would tell me before I was like certain. You're in like freshman year of college. My friends just assumed I was already out as non-binary.
You were very non-binary with it. I remember you. Yeah, no, mine was freshman year of high school. A girl, a cis woman, whose perception and intelligence was obviously years ahead of mine.
Damn.
Yeah, it kind of hit me with the like, I think you might be a trans woman. And then I was like, huh. No, actually, you're kind of spitting right now. Like, I think you're totally, like that just, I think that fixed everything. I wasn't really in a situation in high school where I could be openly trans. I would say I was out to like, I don't know, 20 or 30 people, like my friend circuit.
Do you think that person saying to you, like, you're trans caused you, did you feel crisis about that, or did you feel like relief or like...
Definitely relief. I mean, I could see how if I was more of a denialist, if I was like someone who really wanted to cling, someone who cared more about cis normativity and heteronormativity, maybe I would have been someone who fought really hard to suppress that. But it was kind of just like, I think you might be trans, and then I was like, yes, correct.
And also, follow-up question is, were you already a gay boy? Because I am familiar of the gay boy twink to doll pipeline.
Yeah. I was pretty bisexual with it. I can't remember exactly when all the timeline that all of this happened. But I definitely was like really into twinks. Like during the like sexual development period of my life, and I was like, damn, okay, this is what this shit is like. I'm bisexual. And then I found kind of the most acceptable way for me to engage in femininity and the facsimiles of doll culture that were available to me at the time as a high schooler was to just be a femboy. Like, I think almost everyone that I went to high school with probably assumes that I was just a cis gay femboy twink. Because that's probably what I was giving out for the most part, which is a much more digestible, much more tolerable image. And I did that for years. And then when I went to college, I was like, fuck it. New state, new vibes, new friends. Like, it's full doll mode now, and never really looked back. And I think that's the dividing line. That's the sort of segmenting point. As like when you're young and in school, it is such a substantial dividing line, where you're like, you know, high school and college are so fundamentally, so drastically different for most people. And as soon as I was in college, it was like, yeah, it's like, I was like doll mode out. I was like reading doll literature. I was like meeting more girls than guys on Grindr. And I finally got a fake that worked, that actually could get me into places, and going to functions with people, meeting a bunch of other dolls, like getting well known among the doll community in the new city I was living in. And that's sort of been the lifestyle ever since.
Yeah, I think for me, like, you know, it does always start with being bisexual.
Of course, many such cases.
Yeah.
Can confirm.
Like, I realized I was bisexual when, you know, I was like probably like 11 or so, and I realized that like I could be attracted to girls just the same as being attracted to boys. I had like crushes on like female friends or whatever, and then not to feed into the stereotype, but I did use Tumblr, and I learned all the
What's this flag?
yeah, like I learned all the cool genders. And the first one that really resonated with me was being bigender, like
Cute.
you know, being both like a guy and a girl depending on how I feel that day, you know, like I was pretty into that before I found the term non-binary, and I knew a lot of other people were identifying as non-binary, so I think I stuck to that as it felt like closest to what I am and is not too niche to where I need to like explain to people what my super niche gender is. Like if I were to do that, I think usually I feel like I had a big phase where I was really androgynous. Sometimes.
Are you not still in that phase?
Well, I am, but I think that a lot of the time I compensate and just say like I'm a T-boy and like I'm trans mask, but like I think I just say that because I like being part of that trans culture, which is kind of what we're gonna get into, is how like you go from realizing your identity to really ingratiating yourself in the culture of being that identity and like hanging around people who are on the same wavelength as you.
I'm interested that you had a bigender phase because you're someone who...
Well, that's actually what I was going to say next.
Go ahead.
Okay, cause like, I mean, I know I like saying that I'm like a T-boy and I'm like a twink or whatever, but I also like being kind of butch, and
Fuck yeah.
I know that's more of like a, like, I think if I wasn't trans, like if I never found out what being trans was, I would just be like a butch bisexual person.
Yeah. I was going to say the bigender thing kind of intrigues me because you're someone who's very proud of being off of the binary, and you're into people who are off of the binary. Like that seems like an important part of your identity. And I wonder if the transition from bigender to non-binary was more about escaping that binary or more about being something that people would recognize that you didn't have to explain.
I think both, but like I don't really resonate with bigender anymore. I think it's just the coolest one I heard first.
Was the flag pretty?
I would have to look that up.
What's the bigender flag?
Let me see.
I'm so curious now.
We shouldn't get into this because I will say there's some ugly flags, and I don't want anybody's
flag
feelings
discourse
to get
is
hurt.
hot. Yeah, just because I hate your flag does not mean I hate your gender, but some of these motherfucking flags are ugly as fuck.
Oh my god, this one's so cute.
It's like pastel mauve at the top, lavender in the middle, and like teal at the bottom.
I fuck with it.
Interesting.
Non-binary flag, I will put it on blast. I think this is ugly.
It reminds me of Planet Fitness, and I fucking hate Planet Fitness.
You're right.
That's so... Wait, why does it kind of look like Planet Fitness?
No, like, I'm kind of upset that this is quote-unquote my flag now, but I'm choosing to...
Is that why you, like, your drip, Lex, is, like, more bisexual flag than non-binary
I
flag?
think the bisexual flag is beautiful. Like, it's my favorite.
sexy.
Other than the transgender flag, which I think is the most divine flag.
What does that one look like?
You're from there. You know what the flag looks
I
like.
went to transgender
All the pretty girls are
islands.
from there.
Everyone knew you.
It's literally hanging up in my bedroom window too. I know I'm familiar with this transgender flag you speak of. What was your first bisexual experience?
Well, for a while I was a bi girl with a boyfriend. So
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Real.
my first bisexual experience, I don't know. I dated boys for a while. I would have to look at my list, to be honest.
It doesn't even have to be a sex list. It's like the first non-AMAB cis person that you dated, or like the first time you engaged with bisexuality in a way that went beyond gooning to cartoon women.
Well, I mean, honestly, my straight experience and my lesbian/bi experience both stem from people on Roblox because I didn't have any friends in real life.
Right. So when we met, you had a boyfriend that you knew through Roblox.
Yeah, but before that, like in middle school, like I started talking to this boy like in middle school.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I also had a girl, or we were both girls back then.
Right. Someone that transitioned
I
eventually.
think they're non-binary now. I'm not sure.
Slime.
But, back then, like, they had a crush on me, and
On Roblox.
Well, like, we would voice chat, like, pre-Discord kitten era.
Right. You were the original Discord kitten.
Yeah, we would call each other on Skype or whatever. And
Wow.
also this person, my Roblox boyfriend lived only 90 miles away from me, which was pretty close for a Roblox boyfriend.
Right.
But this other person who we had mutual crushes on each other lived in Ireland.
Damn.
That sucks.
Pull though.
I have a mutual crush on a T-boy from Ireland. Do you think it's the same person?
I don't
crazy
think
would
so.
that be? How crazy would that be?
But I think like they had admitted their crush on me right after I started dating my Roblox boyfriend. So,
Aw.
but I guess I would say that's my first bisexual experience because that's like when I knew that I was bisexual because I like had a crush on them.
Yeah. And then at some point you got to put it into practice and you were like, correct.
Yeah, I mean, I always had that doubt that bi girls with boyfriends have.
Am I really bisexual?
Yeah. Or like I should, like I need to go to Pride with my boyfriend, even though we're like a straight couple. Yeah, I mean, when you're a bi girl with a boyfriend, you just want to break up with him.
And you should.
Shout out to my sister though.
Because?
She's a bi girl with a boyfriend of many years, and they have quite a healthy relationship.
Good for them.
And I'm
One
sure
in a
she
million.
still goes to Pride with him.
1 in a million.
Yeah.
What about your bisexual experience, Liv?
Well, quite like, I guess, the both of you, I first came into my queer identity. I'm not going to say pipeline because I don't want to make... I mean, I'm personally on a pipeline. Not everyone is, but I'm on that bitch. And I kind of realized that I was bisexual. And at the time, I don't think that I want to admit this because I'm realizing recently how much of my experience centers around like denial and or label politics and policing and definition and all that. So I think for a while I struggled because of those things. And also just generally not knowing what the options are. Like, I think part of why I feel like I've bloomed so late, even though I'm just now 25, like, I'm not super late, but late, especially in comparison to you guys, is because I feel like I didn't even know that any of this shit was an option or existed. Like, to be honest, I don't even know how old I was when I like knew that gayness was a thing. Like,
Did either of you go to high school with gay people, openly gay people?
I was about to ask you how many gay people were at your high school, because I feel like, I mean, my graduating class was probably a little over 1,000, and I really only remember 5 to 10 gay people, or like, you know, egg, or, you know, whatever people, but part of it may have just been my gaydar was non-existent.
Yeah, mine was I graduated with like about 7,500 kids, and there were probably about 10. I mean, I think everybody thought I was openly gay. I knew like one or two. There was a gay couple that I was good friends with, so maybe like 3 other like gay mad people, and then, you know, a dozen or so either openly gay or openly bisexual women. So I was well aware of the concept is what I was getting at. But I know there's a lot of people, particularly in more repressive places, where it's like, even if there are gay people in your high school experience, you didn't know because they didn't feel safe, because they couldn't be out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people at my high school were closeted or only out to their close friends. I was one of the only out bisexual people
Slay.
in my class. And you know, I didn't know any trans people at my school other than myself, but I like wasn't out as that. I knew one of my friends, like my older friends. It's like a really kind of cute story, actually. She was like, I had a crush on her in middle school. We were on like the quiz bowl team together, and this was, you know, before she, I think, was out or knew who she was. She was the first person who showed me the Matrix on a train ride.
Fundamental transgender moment.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, reflecting on it, like, you know, Matrix was her favorite movie, and she would talk to me about how she felt different from everyone, like, but she described it more as like she felt like people would tell her that she seemed like a robot or something. She was probably just neurodivergent. But I had a big crush on her in middle school. By the time we were in high school, we didn't really talk to each other that much anymore, but she came out as trans senior year, and I like really respected her when she came out, because, you know, I grew up in South Carolina, which is not like a great place to be trans or gay, but I didn't really talk to her that much, even though like I knew she was out and I respected her a lot. But I think I was grappling with my own gender identity by those years, having joined Tumblr at the age of 12 or 13 or so. I already knew what I probably was, and then I think throughout high school I repressed it until I got to college, when I met I made friends with like 2 trans guys who were immediately like, what are your pronouns?
Right. So to bookend the first half of this discussion with you, Olivia, what's your sort of journey of realization to execution and confirmation of like your bisexuality / attraction to women, broadly speaking?
So at this point in my life, I think a big part of me turning to like executing instead of just like thinking or realizing was not giving a fuck about the label politics anymore, and being like, actually none of you need to be arguing on fucking Twitter about what bisexual means, because I mean, before I found about the lesbian master doc, I was very very flip-floppity between like bisexual and lesbian, and now I consider myself bisexual, lesbian, pansexual, and it kind of just depends on what joke I'm making at the moment. Because I don't know, like the nuance is so like gray, and we shouldn't be like boxing these things up. So whenever I have to like label myself at this point, I just say queer because I feel like it's all encompassing, and I feel like I'm more lesbian, pansexual than I am bisexual these days.
Slay.
And part of it, I think, was the fear of not wanting to come off as like transphobic because of the discourse about bisexuality. But it's like stupid discourse anyway.
It is stupid discourse. I am a bisexual person, but someone being off the binary is included in my bisexual because at the end of the day, you know, it's shorthand. It's like I like everyone. I like people. I like sexy people.
Part of it is also like bi is the most or the easiest thing for people who are not in this realm to grasp. And if you start throwing around things like pansexual with like cis straight people, they're like, whoa, that's too much.
You talk to cis straight people?
I used to. That's my problem.
You're fixed. Okay. So group therapy. At this point in the story, in high school, we were all something that is cringe.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Band kid.
No disrespect to bigender people.
Olivia, band kid. Lex, bigender Roblox kid with few friends. Quiz bowl kid. I was an exceedingly obnoxiously preppy tennis team asshole. So we leave for college, right? Everyone leaves their high school and their wings sprout out behind them. What is the pipeline to leaving this cringe thing that I used to be behind and becoming a queer adult occupying queer spaces? Because for me, I'm going to say it, it's Grindr. It's Grindr. It just is Grindr. Like I moved to a new city. I wasn't old enough to be on Grindr yet, but I was on that bitch. And I met a bunch of people. I learned about a bunch of functions. I did a bunch of new things and drugs and types of people and positions and activities and discovered so much in such a short time span because of that little fuckhole Grindr. That I like, it was indoctrination by fire into queer culture, and I kind of never looked back. So that pipeline for me was overnight. It was like I had been living with my parents. I finally left my parents. Like I was building an infrastructure to support myself. I was living in a new city. I was like, fuck it, we ball. Like, let's meet some dolls. Let's get crazy. Like, let's learn new things. And I feel like it wasn't long before I was part of the trans community and like never looked back. That was how I went from prep school tennis player to, you know, hot tranny at clubs and stuff. You know, that it was real quick, just a tap of the Google Play Store. So until I had Grindr on my phone. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know if I said this earlier, but I, in comparison to you two, I'm a late bloomer. So I realized that I was bisexual, quote unquote, halfway through college. So I still went the first half of college, I think, trying to shed my prior experience.
Right.
And I think my pipeline or whatever was not overnight. I think I have a tendency to like waver in the realization phase for a while. So like when I realized that I was bisexual, I still had to do a lot of unthinking. I would think things like, oh, I want to be with a man at the end of the day, but like I do think that women are attractive. I don't think that I would have sex with a woman. I don't think I would go on a date with a woman, like threesome or whatever. Like I did both phases. Like I did think like, oh, I don't know if I would romantically go on a date with a woman. And then once I realized eventually that wasn't true, I also like thought about the sex portion of it a little bit. but I still went after guys for a while. And that, like, part of that, I am still attracted to some men, but it's very feminine men.
Oh, she's just like me.
Yeah. Not a lot of masculine men. I do like the butch dyke vibes, and then like the girly men or twink vibes.
So who's your dream girly man?
Girly
like,
man.
You know I love Timothée Chalamet. That's my king.
Every single one that all the bi girlies are after. Harry Styles.
Troye Sivan.
Dev Patel. God, all of them.
Lex is like, you're spitting right now. You're spitting right now.
Every single man with tattoos, long curly hair, and dresses a little femme.
Maddie Healy.
I don't know.
Everyone's like, whoa, hit the brakes, hit the brakes.
Yeah, hit the brakes.
I love
I
Maddie
was
Healy.
gonna say, my first real bisexual experience was really just going on dates, because like I've had a lot of sexual traumas, so like I didn't really hit that pipeline super fast. But I do remember this girl that I kind of dated for maybe like a month and a half to 2 months, very loosely. Like, dated is a strong term. This was during COVID 2020, summer of 2020 in Athens. I went on a few dates with this bisexual girl, and she kind of kept talking about her lesbian ex that I also knew from band. We were literally in the same section. So that was weird. But I had to just be like, hey, I think you're in love with your ex. And in typical women loving women fashion, she was like, no, I'm not. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, you're in love with your ex, so I'm going to have to dip out. But after that, I hit the extreme trauma, situationship, lesbian experience over and over and over. And
Nightmare.
Yeah.
That's where you were when I met you.
Yeah. Truly a nightmare experience. And now I'm here. And
You beat the case, though,
Yeah.
despite all odds. Now you're just a genuinely cool, non-binary person with a lot of queer friends and connections in your community.
Yeah, I'm fucking with it.
Slay.
I want to know, I have a question for you, I guess.
Yeah, hit me.
You didn't know me as much in Charlotte. I want to know what you think the eggiest thing I have ever said to you has been.
Wow.
Not like overtly eggy, like I wish I could have a dick for this moment.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
subtle egg moment, if you
That's
can think of one.
interesting. I guess I would have to think back to kind of the early stages of our friendship. I mean, you went through maybe the definitive romantic trauma of your life right when we met.
I would say so, yeah.
And so that sort of seems that kind of dominated your life for the first couple of months that we knew each other for
Ripperoni.
Sure. Poor baby. The eggiest thing. I don't know. I think that question, first and foremost, speaks to how demonstrably you've changed in the 2 years or so that we've known each other. Physically, mentally, like in every way. The old pictures of you,
I change.
Crazy.
Like, Face ID never works for me because I morph. I'm literally a fucking shapeshifter.
And different.
That's actually kind of the way that I want to play around with my gender a little bit. Like, I feel like, other than queer, the best terms or labels, if you will, for me are definitely gender fluid and non-binary. And I know that because when I see gender fluid people on TikTok, I get jealous and I'm like, oh, you're so cool. I'm really jealous of like how multifaceted and like fluid this is. And like, that's the kind of things that I used to think about, like, I don't know, like early lesbian thoughts and like, and stuff like that. Like, I'm still trying to like figure shit out, and I'm doing a lot of like reading about gender, reading about polyamory, reading about all this other stuff to really like understand what is out there. And I think gender fluid is something that I want to like vibe with for a while. And like, I'm trying to play around with androgynous style this year, so it's fun.
My year of androgyny. I
Yup.
think here's the thing. You have been complaining about your titties and wanting them gone since way before you were a they them or even
Yeah.
a she they.
Yeah.
If I was going to pick out one eggy thing, it would probably be you see cis women a lot talk about how much their back hurts
Yeah.
from their big ass titties. They're like, God, I wish I could. Have said to me many times before, you're like, God, I wish I could just flip them on and off.
Yes.
I know I've heard you say that so many times.
Yes.
And funny, surprise, funny sometimes. That's the
Yeah.
pipeline to cis women who end up as mask they thems or
Yeah.
full on T-boys.
What is so interesting about that is, and I've thought about this a lot recently, as of right now, I don't want top surgery because, like I've said, I wish they were like magnets that were connected to my body and I could just on and off. Because
like Miss Potato Head.
yeah, like honestly, the dream is to just have smaller boobs so they're more concealable because I'm kind of built like a pea, so...
Yeah, I will say I'm kind of living that life right now. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet to have titties in sexual contexts.
Yeah.
And like as someone who has like A cups, I can easily just throw on a sports bra and then I'm boy mode. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like it's different. You can tell when someone has chest dysphoria in a back pain versus a trans way, because women with back pain will just say, oh, I want like a breast reduction, so that they'll still have some titty to work with. But like trans guys will just be like, I want to cut this shit off.
Well, I'm saying, like, I think one can sometimes lead to another in a very eggy sense. By the time you're like,
Yeah.
I can cut this shit off, you might as well just admit that you're a D-boy at that point.
Yeah. Like, I fuck with having boobs. I'm just like, I want them to be more hideable. I still think they're sexy. I'm scared of surgery. It's expensive. The recovery takes so long. And I guess, like, the last... fuck, I lost my other reason. I don't know. It's just like... I want to commit. I like the middle zone. I like being able to, like, bounce back and forth. Because I do dress, like... super femme sometimes, and I like enjoy that. Like it's slut spring, I'm fucking rocking it.
Hey.
But when winter hits, like I'm trying to be a man. Like
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think that's why, like maybe similar to you, the non-binary aspect of it where we can kind of play beyond the binary is like the best option.
So sort of, sorry to cut you off.
I was just gonna say I love being like a hairy boy with tits.
That's a banger. That's a quotable for the ages. Before we're done with Olivia, I would say, it's almost kind of back to the bi-gender, non-binary thing. Do you find yourself thinking, today I am woman, today I am man? Or do you find yourself thinking, I'm androgynously shifting between undefined zones of expression outside of the binary? Like, what do you think of the binary as it applies to you?
That's kind of where I have struggled, and I still am struggling. I remember saying to you and probably some other people that, like, for a while, and this leans into my, like, denial situation. Like, I was like, I don't really know if I'm trans. I don't feel trans. I don't feel trans enough, because to me it just feels like a style feeling of the day. Like how I want to dress is really how it manifests itself, other than like wanting a flatter chest or like appearing more masculine sometimes. And I'm still having to like fight that mindset that it has nothing to do with my gender. Like, I think I don't know, I was just counting myself out of the race for a while, and now I'm like, hey, this is actually an option. Like, non-binary doesn't mean one thing, and it actually means that I can like feel this way and be trans, and like that's trans enough or whatever, that's non-binary enough. Because like a lot of it also comes down to people pleasing, like people pleasing with the label police, and like that's fucked. So it still feels almost seasonal sometimes. Like I said, like slut spring, like when it comes around to summer, I'm leaning a little more like wife pleaser mask, and like once it hits fall, I'm going like full androgyny, and winter is normally like a mask time for me. But I still like waver on the day. I'm playing around more with like no makeup looks, a lot of like no shape androgyny styles right now. I fucked around with my hair a lot, shaved it all off. That was like a pivotal moment for me in 2020. Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's a lot of trans feminine people who identify a problem early in their transition and their repressor period where they kind of equate being trans and being feminine with being dolled up. And they're like, I'm not trans because I don't want to go through the process of dolling myself up every day. Because in the very early stages, you know, dressing up in femme clothes and doing your makeup might be the only sort of access to expressing femininity that you have. But I guess one of the most important parts in that development is growing to a point where you realize that it's like being trans feminine, being feminine means so much more than just dressing like a girl. And that's a moment for a lot of trans femmes. That's a moment of realization and a moment of understanding that comes, that kind of reads as something that it seemed like you had trepidation with early.
Yeah, I think another important part of it for me was realizing that I'm not trans in the way that I think that I am a man or like I am not a girl, but I'm non-binary in the way that like it gives me the option to do whatever and the fluidity to be in the middle and like experience it all based on what I feel.
Secret third thing.
Secret third thing for the win. And when you look at things like all of the spectrums, I find myself in the middle of like all of them. So like switch tendencies, fucking non-binary tendencies. Like I never really pick a true side.
A
or
top
solid.
or bottom, ride or die verse in every sense
ride or
of the
die
word.
verse.
Besties verse and everything.
Yes.
Okay, bring us home, Lex. How do we start with the Lex that I met with a Roblox boyfriend, huge introvert, not 100% sure that you're non-binary yet, and we come to the Lex of today, who's literally pimping trans women, going out to all of the functions, known by everybody. How does prior life Lex become this Lex?
Well, I think I've always been beloved. It's just I've had to grow more comfortable into knowing that myself. I was always super shy in high school, but people liked me because of my neurodivergent swag. They liked that I said things differently. People thought I was really funny, and, you know, I was nice. So that just carried on into college. People thought I was cool and mysterious because I say things strangely, and it's kind of funny. But I would say my journey from being like shy, not really knowing what my gender was, like really questioning in freshman year of college, pretty much day one, I would say it was like frog in boiling water, because I walked into my public speaking class on the first day, and, you know, first day of school and like you're looking around to see if anyone like who might be your friend in the class. And like those two T boys clocked me from across the room, made me sit with them. Both of them were already on hormones. And, they clocked me as an egg, basically. We were besties. I became their roommates. I think that was really when the water started boiling. Suddenly, like, I wanted to be more like them, and like not even in a like I want to be cool way. Like honestly, partially, like I just think trans people are cool. Like I want to fit in, but it also feels right to do what they're doing, and like it feels really gender affirming to see what works for me in terms of transitioning. Like at some point while I was living with them, I started hormones, and it was pretty cool to have like two really close trans masc friends who'd already gone through their early stages of transitioning, help guide me on, how to do injections and stuff. Really, it was just like kind of the crowd I fell into, because I would say opposite of you seeking it on Grindr, like I think I was kind of adopted into it because like my friends could see in me what I couldn't see yet. The eggening.
That's a great way to put it. Even going back to like my freshman year of high school, when someone told me I was trans, she could see something in me that I couldn't see yet. And as soon as she told me it made a lot of sense. And I think that is an interesting distinction, because I think I'm probably the outlier in terms of not having a real trans mother in my life. I kind of had to figure it out on my own. And I had help, but I didn't have help the way that your best friends were trans masc people who were there to both encourage and inform you throughout the entire way.
Yeah, and it was very like peer to peer, like they weren't my daddies or anything.
Right. I mean, in this term, and only in this instance, I mean the phrase mother in a purely platonic way. You'll never hear me say that again, because I had trans mommies, but I did not have a trans mother.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's great. So did you? I would say that these days you're a very community-oriented person. We live in Los Angeles. We've said that many times. And the Los Angeles transgender community knows who you are. They recognize you. They see you at events, whether they know you personally or not. Was that something that you ever did before you were in LA? Do you think you were in the thick of trans culture anywhere else you've ever lived?
I definitely can't speak to, I mean, hometown wise, I knew, like, when I knew I was bi and, like, had labels floating around in my head, not really. Like, I would go to the local pride, and that was already huge for me. By the time I got to Atlanta, I feel like I didn't really get entrenched in trans culture until a few years into my college experience, when like I got more comfortable socially, but also just like more familiar with the goings on. I don't know. Honestly, like I feel like not everyone knows me in the trans community in LA yet.
I'm not saying every single person knows you, but obviously that's not the case. I think you're selling yourself short, honestly. Like, I think there are a ton of people who know who you are because you hit the spots. You go to the functions. I mean, you're just like our entire friend, just like me and all of our friends. You've made yourself a known commodity in the way that there are plenty of trans people here who aren't.
I mean, I go to the functions because you go to the functions, but...
You wouldn't go to the functions if I wasn't here?
I would go to the functions every once in a while. You make me go every week.
Make you.
Lex is a function pet.
That's true.
That's very.
I am
that's
the
very
little
true. That's
dog
very
you
few.
bring to
Yeah.
functions.
In
No.
Lab's purse.
Yeah.
Aww.
I mean, I kind of helped introduce you to what the trans functions were here in LA when you first moved here.
Some of them, yeah, definitely.
I mean, I just go to trans events because I'm lonely and like because I want to find somebody, you know?
Romantic interest.
Yeah.
So once you're locked down, no more functions.
Well, I'm still gonna go to the functions.
I'm just trying to corner you at this point. I think you should just be comfortable admitting that you're a social person who is a fixture of the Los Angeles trans community.
Sure, but I don't want people to know that because I get tired of socializing.
People are not going to listen to this podcast and go out to an event in LA and then be disappointed when Lex doesn't show up. I mean, they'll be disappointed that you didn't show up, but it won't be because of this podcast. It'll be because people like seeing you at functions.
Thanks. But I mean, we go to functions and people are like, where's sissy allegations?
Yeah. I haven't told that story publicly anywhere, but we were at a function recently where someone held the Sissy Allegations Instagram profile up at me from the inside of a restaurant that I was standing outside of and pointed at me. And I laughed so hard that I almost threw up and died. It never gets old. It never stops being hilarious and slightly embarrassing when I meet someone in real life who's like, "This is the allegations."
Honestly, I'm really enjoying the content. I think it's funny.
I'm glad you like it. It's always funny to see a Sissy Allegations post on your close friend's story because I was cooking up that same horny bullshit for like 2 years when we known each other that
Yeah.
you didn't even know that it existed because it was like not the type of thing I would show you. And I just think one day
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I think Olivia would fuck with this.
I followed as a cis person, and now here I am. You
Oh,
changed
many
me.
such cases. Many such cases. When I see cis people follow my Instagram meme page, I'm like, it's just a matter
Yeah.
of time. There is a reason your algorithm showed you this, and there is a reason you are slurping it up.
Yum.
I think we're done. Does anybody else have anything important they need to say?
I have not really a question or an idea. I'm trying to figure out why it took me so long to realize any of this about myself, and I think listening to you two has made me realize that it's because I was not chronically online as a child. I was not on Tumblr. I was not really a YouTube kid. Like, I think that's why I'm falling behind.
No, I mean, I was a Tumblr kid for music more than anything else, and I was never a YouTube kid. I think it's more of that it's almost impossible to figure it out on your own. You know?
Yeah.
I think my tutors were people I interacted with in real life, Lex's perhaps, and a lot of other people's tutors are virtual. But the point of the matter is to hint at why people say that, you know, visibility is so important is because you need to see it, you know, to believe that it's possible, to understand that it's right for you. That's why, you know, visible trans people surviving, trans people being themselves, trans people organizing and becoming more broadly visible is important because it creates, inspires, unlocks futures for more trans people.
Yeah. To anyone who is listening, if you
You are trans.
if you enjoy drawing the ladies as a lady yourself, you may be gay. I think I had to figure out the analog way, and that was the way. Pre-TikTok.
We didn't even talk about cartoon goth women.
Oh, shit.
That was kind of a joke. I think everybody knows that cartoon goth women are the pipeline to bisexuality.
All of them.
Okay. That's episode 8. I normally don't tease, but I have to this time because we've done like 3 straight episodes of like informative, valuable, queer and trans perspective. On God, episode 9, I swear to it, Lex and I, two bottoms, we're going to do an episode about topping. It's going to be wall to wall about topping.
You'll miss me.
I will. We should. Liv would have had more to contribute to the topping discussion than Lex and I combined. But you're going to listen to somewhere between 50 minutes to an hour of two of the biggest bottoms you've ever met. Lex is trying. I'm not. Discussing their perspective on topping. Something to look forward to.
I'll have a lot to say.
Oh, I have so much to say. So much to say about top. The bitches who have the most to say about topping, bottoms. What I'm saying. All right, that's it. Thank everyone for listening. Thank you, Olivia, for joining the podcast.
Bye.
Mwah.
Bye.